Coming up on Finding Better, Jen Hardy is joining me, and we are talking about burnout. Not only work burnout, but relationship burnout and all kinds of burnout. And we're going to talk about the exhaustion, the misery, the stress, and how to diffuse all of it. Our value in today's culture is all based on our productivity and other people's expectations of us, right? Where did that come from? Our value is based on who we are, how we show up, and who we be. That's who we are, and that's what our value is based on. But burnout has physiological, emotional, loneliness impacts on our lives, and it's about pausing. It's about pausing and normalizing our conversations and having honest conversations, not only with others, because you can and you're not alone, but with ourselves. This is an amazing conversation on how to find better, how to live a better life. Please share this. Here we go. Hello, 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 and welcome back to our Finding Better podcast. My name is John Suzuki, and I'm your host. And this is where we share real life experience and wisdom of people who have been there and done that. Because, sometimes the best path to success is to follow in the footsteps of people who have been there and done that. Today, we're talking with Jen Hardy, and we're going to talk about burnout. Burnout. And for you high achieving people out there, it's inevitable. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have been through it and have experienced it. I retired 3 years ago, and after 38 years in high tech, I experienced burnout several times. Jen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here.
Yeah, it's the show's called Finding Better, and it's all about sharing experiences on people to find in terms of people finding better, helping them find better. I think I'm going to call this podcast Burnout. And the subtitle is going to be How to Turn the Ashes of Burnout into Your Own Rising of a Phoenix. So
Mm.
let's talk about burnout because I know a lot of people can relate to this. And you took your experience and you turned that experience of lemons into lemonade. So us talk a little bit about what you've done. But real quick, what do you want our audience to get from this conversation?
The main thing I want your audience to get from our conversation today is normalizing a conversation that never happens around how you're really feeling and the hustle culture that's been embedded into us, and knowing that it's not the way it has to be and that we can normalize conversations of slowing down.
Ooh, okay, okay. That you just piqued my curiosity because for me at least my experience was that burnout was kind of embarrassing.
Mm.
Burnout, when things got tough, I didn't want to have a conversation about it, right? It was I didn't want to show weakness, and I didn't want people to know that. Anyway, this is not about me, but is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, there's a lot of shame that surrounds the idea
Right?
of burnout and talking about it and being willing to admit that that's the path you're headed down. And I think that's actually what ends up having people burn out even harder because of the emotional toll and the physiological toll. You put it all together, and like people are just getting sick.
When you were just talking just now, I was thinking about the feeling of being alone,
Mm.
right? I mean, is that something that is the feeling I had, right? Is that I was alone. And one of the things I've learned from doing 140 episodes of this podcast, um, is that you don't have to be alone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And not only do you don't have to be, you aren't. Like, I mean,
Good
that's
point.
it's, and I think that's where I'm coming from with the idea of normalizing the conversations, the
Right.
uncomfortable, yucky, vulnerable conversations that we don't want to have, because in those conversations is when we discover that we are not alone. Our experience may not be exactly the same, but the emotions or the desire for connection and knowing oh, I'm not the only one going through something like this.
Right.
It does make such an impact, but you're right, that thought process of, oh, it's just me, so I can't possibly say anything.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just, I mean, I'm just kind of blown away by the simplicity of what you just said, right? Normalizing conversations, right? And the first part of it is having conversations and
Yeah.
having the courage to and I think a big had I known this, it would have made my life so much easier and so much better. Because you know you got to have the conversation, but first you have to know you can have the conversation, and to know that you can have the conversation
Yeah.
leads to your initial leads to the necessity of knowing that you're not alone.
Mm. Yeah.
Everybody's gone through it, right?
Yep. Or going through
Or
it,
going through it, or will go
don't,
through it. Yeah.
yeah, or don't even know they're going through it until they talk about it. And then they're like, oh,
Ooh,
wait, I'm dealing with that.
yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
that is. Oh.
So talk about that though. Talk about how you know the tactics of it. Okay. You're a person is experiencing burnout, knowingly or not. How do you start those conversations?
Well, I would say the first part is learning learning the experience that you're having in your own body, right? Our physiological nervous system responses. Because
Ah,
what often stops us is that experience of, let's call it anxiety, or that experience of fear, the experience of I'm going to be rejected, ostracized, pushed away, ridiculed,
right,
made fun of, whatever it might be. And it's acknowledging that that's just an experience in the body. Is it in fact? Like danger could be real. There could be real danger, and I don't know. So we do need to pause long enough to decide, like, is that actual literal danger, like life is in danger? Or is it this fear of a part of me is going to be attacked, a part of me is going to quote unquote die off, a part of me is not going to be safe, and it's the part of me that thinks I have to keep pushing through, overcoming, overdoing, pull up my bootstraps, do it anyway,
right,
when in
right.
fact,
Suck it
no,
up.
yeah, I need support, I need love, I need acceptance, right? And we may not get that when we choose to have the conversation. You might get all of the yuck, but you also might get the other side. And so you've got to pause long enough to recognize, what are the emotions I'm experiencing? What are the physiological, the bodily experiences that I'm having, the fast heart rate, the rapid breath, the sweaty palms, maybe even the dizzy, like who knows what it might be for somebody. And
Right,
is that experience real? And I know it feels real because you're having a physical experience, right? But is the danger that you think you're experiencing and that's causing the physical reaction real? Or is it just this thing might happen? And if this thing happens, if they don't accept, if they don't acknowledge, if they don't, it doesn't go the way that I want it to go, that's what I'm scared about. That's the fear versus I'm going to die. I'm just going to die if this happens. This conversation happens
yeah.
and the world will end. No, it won't. It won't. It may not be fun, but it might be. It might be the
S-
best conversation you ever had.
So the first part of it is recognizing that you may have a problem, right?
Basically, we could say, yeah, it's like 12-step program, right? Acknowledge you have an issue.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And it could be emotionally, it could be, it could, you know, uh, uh, I guess where I'm coming from is how do we know that? I mean, we know ourselves to know that when we're hyperventilating, something's wrong. Or we know we're getting headaches all the time, something's wrong. Or the stress level, things like that. Um, how do people how do you coach people to to start a conversation? I mean, is it just talking to somebody and saying, "Hey, this I'm feeling kind of weird," or what happens? What's the best way to start those conversations?
As honestly and authentically as possible, in my personal opinion. I think
Yes.
I think the more we try to overthink and the more we try to think about how can I say this in a way that's going to be received, the less authentic and the less opportunity for it to actually land. I'm not saying don't think about the conversation, but I am saying think about the conversation from what you need, not from how do I get received.
That is so powerful because one thing that a lot of people have a hard time with is vulnerability,
Yes.
right? Is being vulnerable. And you're basically, I have found in my life that well over 90% of the things I fear never happen.
Hmm.
Never happen, right?
Exactly.
And so and this, the idea that being open and authentic and honest, leading to becoming a fear factor,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
My personal experience has been I can't think of a time when I opened myself up to somebody about something that was really important where anybody has said, well, that's stupid, weakling, right? I mean, no one has ever said, yeah, you need to go work out a little bit more, you punk. No one's ever said that, right? It's always been a person coming back and saying, well, talk to me about what's happening.
Also, I mean, I want to acknowledge that for many people that could be true. And I can say for me, I have had someone basically say, WTF, how is that what you think?
Okay, okay, good.
Because
Not
I
not
want to
good, but
acknowledge,
talk about it.
yeah, I want to acknowledge both sides
Yeah,
because the experience, the anxiety and the fear of being vulnerable in a conversation feels really real. And that's what
yeah,
I was like, trying to explain earlier is like the experience is, oh my God, I need to run away. This is awful. Ah, right. But it's like, how do I navigate the experience my body is having? Because I'm not my body. I'm not my emotions. They're just experiences. So how can I learn to breathe through, to navigate, to recognize my life's not going to end? And that's why I said I need you to check in if danger is real. I've worked with domestic violence survivors. I've worked with sexual assault survivors. I want to say I need to
okay,
acknowledge there could be real danger. So I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying make sure is it. In my case, I'm talking about having a conversation with my father and needing to let him know that my experience was that he was trying to push me and my sister underwater so that he could stay above water. And
oh,
it's a much bigger story than that, but that's the bottom line, right? And I needed him to hear that. I needed to say that to him. And it's the words are coming out of my mouth, right? My palms are sweating, my armpits are sweating, like I'm hot, my heart's beating, and I'm like, "Whoa, this is terrifying," right? That's the experience. But consciously, this conversation needs to happen, right? So I'm gonna work myself through the physiological experiences, knowing that's not real. He is my father. I do know he loves me. I know he will want to hear this, even though it's not going to be fun. And so I experience that. I say what I have to say. He's got some Indian in his blood, so he turns beet red and slams his fist and is basically WTF. How can you think that of me? How can you think that's how I'm being? And
oh,
and I'm like immediately like, oh God, like the physiological experience, the subconscious, the autonomic experience. But my consciousness, my present self is like, nope, nope, you're fine, you're okay. He's not gonna come across the table. I know my dad, like nothing's gonna happen. And I have to breathe. And I'm like, it's funny because I made a misstep. I said, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, Dad. And he's like, you didn't hurt my feelings. And I'm like, okay, that was an assumptive statement. Let's try this again. I'm not telling you that this is who you are. I'm not saying I think you're a bad guy and that you're trying to drown us. I'm telling you is that my experience, my sister's experience, our experience of reality recently has been that you're willing to shove us underwater so that you survive. And that's not who you are for me. You are my hero. You are my father. I love you. I mean, our relationship means everything to me. And we can't keep going down this road. And he's like, and you just see the red drain from his face, take a deep breath, and his shoulders drop. And then we start the conversation. Right. But
right.
the courage it took for me to navigate the explosion that he was when I said what I said has taken a lot of practice. It's taken a lot of practice of recognizing what is that physiological experience my body's having. And am I actually in danger? No, I'm not. But there could be.
Yeah, yeah, there
So
could be. I mean, if if your father instead was an abusive significant other,
Correct.
there could be danger, right?
Yes.
What struck me, I as you just as you were talking, Jen, as you were talking about your conversation with your father, as you recalibrated and you
Mhm.
went back to him and said, "Dad, I want you to know," I felt like I my physiology just kind of went like
Mhm.
this, right?
Mhm.
And I realized that, the second part of it, you came from a place of love.
Yeah.
You came from a place of love and you said, Dad, I love you. You're my hero. We just can't keep going down this same road, right?
Yeah.
And and it occurred we need a lot more of that. We need a
Mm.
lot more of that because we communicate from our heads and not nearly enough from our hearts. And I think that's part of the sincerity and the authenticity that you were talking about. Because that was awesome. That was an amazing example.
No, I appreciate that. I definitely agree. A big part of it is coming more from love. And I would take that a step deeper and say it's also coming from a place of learning how to not make someone right or wrong for their experience and
Hmm.
learning how to not make their experience mean something about you
Right.
so that you can
Right.
stay in it.
Right. So as we think about burnout, right? A lot of times our burnout can be non-personal, meaning our burnout can be the result of our work,
Mm.
be the work of the environment that we live in.
Mhm.
But before we get there, just going back to your example of your dad, your experience with your dad. Um, if that was a thing that was causing you a lot of stress and anxiety, um, during that process, did you talk to other people about it and how you were feeling and uh, ask them how you should handle it? Did you have any of those conversations?
I definitely did talk with my sister and one of my best friends. I didn't talk to them
Okay.
about how to handle it. I just was
Okay.
sitting there at the table and was just like, I'm gonna do this now.
Okay.
Um, but to be fair, like I've been in this training and this kind of work now for quite some time. This was about 3 years ago. Um, so I'd had conversations about this has been my experience, and my sister and I were talking about, yeah, that's how I feel also. Like this is yucky, and how it's just draining, it's wearing me out, it's wearing me down. Like I can't do this. I'm exhausted, I'm miserable, and it's causing dissociation between my family. But did I talk to those people about how to talk about it? I didn't, but that was mostly because I've obviously been doing this work. So I was kind of already prepared for, all right, here's where I need to come from and here's how
Yeah,
this.
but you talk to people about it,
I did
right? You
share
talk
with
to
friends and family,
yeah.
yeah.
And during that process, I would imagine that you probably got some, for lack of a better term, validation from them that, those are real feelings and yep, I'd feel that way too, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Definitely got some validation around like, yeah, that's been my experience or some version of my experience as well. Or like, oh yeah, that doesn't sound like very much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about burnout. Let's talk
Mhm.
about burnout and let's talk about burnout at work.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Person is having these feelings or they're having these physiological responses to their environment or their boss or whatever. What's the process that you have people go through to kind of work their way through it?
I think the first thing we have to do is, and I'm going to keep coming back to the awareness aspect because I feel like as a culture, we're very dissociated from our body and we're very dissociated from our feelings and what emotions those feelings are attached to, and then what belief systems all of that is attached to. And so that first step is you got to get back in your body.
To
You got to,
you.
yeah, you got to slow down. You got to be willing to take a minute and pause. And I keep bringing that back up, and I will over and over again. I'll beat like a dead horse if I have to. Is you got to pause. So it's the three P's from the Condor approach. Two friends of mine. It's their content, their training. We bring it into our training with their permission and their please go share with the world. It's pause, pull back, physical scan. And I'm also
Hmm.
reading Already Free with Bruce Tift right now, and he talks a lot about it as well. And it's we're so dissociated from how our body is feeling. We're getting to a point where our body is having to scream at us. And what I mean by that is, disease and disorder, problems that, oh, I'm just tired. Oh, I'm just achy. Oh, I just have another cough. Oh, I just keep getting migraines. Oh, I just. Our body is meant to work at optimal levels. So when it's not, that's not normal. It's speaking to us, but we don't stop long enough to pause and find out, what is my body trying to communicate to me? Oh, you're freaking exhausted. We're overwhelmed. We're toast. We're done. And I can speak directly to this because I have had to go during as a public educator, go around the corner to the church and sleep in my car during my lunch and planning period, which was about 2.5 to 3 hours, just to try to survive the day. And like, that's not normal. And it finally took like about 3 months of that happening for me to be like, this is not normal level of tired. Like, this is exhaustion on a level that I don't even understand. So there's it could be exhaustion, chronic fatigue, massive headaches, irritability on a whole other level though. Your fuse is like super tiny. It's starting to notice these things about yourself that you're like, oh, well, that's not normal. Oh, well, I'm having to take a lot of medication for that. Or, oh, I'm just trying to find a fix for this. Oh, I just need to push through that. This stuff is not normal. We've got to slow down. What is my body trying to tell me? What is my body trying to communicate that I'm not pausing long enough to listen for? And I'm going to add to that sometimes we do that. We're like, okay, fine, I'll pause. But then we've been so dissociated for so long, so we don't know what the hell it is we're experiencing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, even for me, the first time I started to slow down and I found out there are 85 emotions, and I'm like, what? I thought it was just happy, sad, mad, and angry. Like, that's like,
I don't know the other 80
I know, I'm like,
either.
there's more. So that emotional literacy, as we like to call it, is a huge element as well to help you properly start navigating and processing what you're experiencing.
You know, so simple and yet so freaking hard.
Yeah.
And you started off talking about our culture. It is our culture. It's our culture of go, 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 go. And especially at work, go, 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 right?
Yep.
And especially with high achievers. High
Mhm.
achievers have, people who are type A's or in high tech in some industries, it's just the culture of the industry.
Yep.
And people kill themselves to just try to keep up. And I think you're right. I'm not. I think you're right. I know you're right that we get so caught up in the culture that we forget about ourselves,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, we live somewhere that our value is based on our productivity. It's like, where did that come from? When did we decide that our value is based on our productivity instead of who we be in the world? And I say it like that on purpose.
Whoa. I've never heard that before. I'm gonna write that down and quote you. Our value is based on our productivity.
But when did yeah, that's what people believe, right? We believe our
Yeah.
value is based on our productivity, but our value is based in who we are in this world, who we be, how we show up.
You know, when you said that, instantly WTF came up in my mind.
Yeah.
It did. When you said your value is based on your productivity. I'm like, first of all, WTF, she's right. And secondly, WTF, WTF,
Yeah, it's just gross.
right?
You're like, oh. That is not what
It's
I'm
like,
here
ew,
for.
yeah, this is
Yeah,
not why I'm here.
no.
And so, you know, hopefully, I gotta believe, Jen, that there are people out there who instantly had that response of, "Oh my God, WTF, she's right."
Mhm.
Right? And this could be your aha moment.
I
This
hope
could
so.
be your aha moment.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, you keep coming back to yourself,
Hmm.
right? Yourself. Get reacquainted with yourself. And I know that different people have different ways of doing that. Some people do that through meditation, some people do that through exercise, some people do that through gardening, but they take the time, right? Like you said, they pause. They pause. And the thing that I realized in this conversation is that a lot of people never pause, right?
No.
They take the energy that they have at work and they continue with that energy as they get into their car, and they continue with their energy on the drive home, and then they continue with that energy as they get home and try to show their kids that they love them. You know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Hmm.
pause.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's I think of like working moms a lot in that capacity because they're like on this whole other level of this,
Oh
because
my God,
I
yes.
mean, everyone's more important than they are, and everything is more important than they are, which is not true, right, moms? But it's just, and I'm not a mom. I'm just all my friends who are and witnessing it and having those conversations with them, because it's just everything else is more important than you. And that's when that your value is based on your productivity. If your value is based on your productivity and what you do and how much you produce, then everything is more important than you.
Oh, whoa. I have always, you know, I mean, this is going to sound terrible, but I've
Yeah,
told my wife, my daughter this. I tell them, thank God I wasn't born a girl. I mean, oh my gosh, it just it's guys, just from a social standpoint, we get into a fight. We argue with each other, we punch each other out, and we hug each other, and then we have a hug out, right?
you better.
Um,
Yep.
and and I've always, as I think about women who juggle family and career,
Mm.
right? Which my wife did. My daughter is in an amazing place where she's able to stay home and take care of her three sons. Um, but even then, right? Everything's more important than them,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it's based on their productivity.
Yeah. And unless, I mean, I'm not saying that men are not the same, because I mean, men are driven by I need to provide and
Right,
I need to
right,
protect. And so,
right.
there's a whole different driving factor in my mind for them, but it's still, I mean, you guys it's just
Absolutely.
there's definitely dynamics on both sides that are intense. But yeah, I mean, bottom line for I think humanity, or especially Western culture, is based in productivity. And if it's based in productivity, then you don't get to be important because everything else matters before you. When in fact, the only thing that matters is you.
If it's based on productivity, you're not allowed to be important. Holy smoke. You know, as we talk about culture, I think about my career for guys, and this I'm being stereotypical here, okay, but I'm just gonna do it. For guys, okay, I'll say it this way. For guys like me, my career was easy because of what you just said. My job is to be a provider. My job is to bring the bacon home. My job is to work. And my wife, I mean, she's the most amazing person I know. And she worked, and then, so she had the productivity thing during her entire career, which included Microsoft. And then she came home taking care of the kids, in way different ways I was taking care of the kids,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Um, and she was doing everything, everything. And as you talked about, our culture bases our value on productivity. I mean, that's something I'm going to think long and hard about.
Mm.
That is such that's such a wise statement.
Well, this is, I mean, the program that we work with, right? Our CARES program that we developed, like that's self-leadership is what our program is based in, because it's, and I say leadership, right? There's so many leadership programs out there. There's so many leadership coaches out there, and they're more focused towards how do you lead better? Here's ways to support your people better, to understand your people better. Do you hear what I'm saying? How do you
Yeah.
understand everybody else, everybody else, everybody else, everybody else? I very rarely hear of products or programs or opportunities where let's understand you. Let's talk about self leadership so that then you can go be who it is you say you want to be. Not so you can go do more of what you do and have more of what you have, but so you can go be more of who you desire to be. Because leader is a being, it's not a doing. It's like I am an executive, I am a mom, I am an athlete. Those are titles of things we do, but they are not who we be. I am statements. Who I be are things like inspiring, motivating, caring, kindness, authenticity, integrity, leader, right? Those are things I want to be. And so we're really working on people to be.
You know, um, one thing I know from this conversation is that this is not the last conversation we're going to have together.
No.
And in fact, one of the things I'm building out. Um, well, I don't need to talk about building out. Let me talk about the environment that we're living in. Um, AI is on the rise,
Mhm.
and I've been talking about AI for the last 7 years. Back in the day when machine learning was a big thing. And AI is going to replace and AI is going to do better many, 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 many things that we do. In
Yeah.
a lot of cases, AI is going to replace us. We're seeing AI robots replacing humans in factories, and it's just the rise of AI. There's never been a point in time when technology has been learning itself from technology.
Yeah.
Is and we're hearing the people who've created AI say that AI is doing things that they never designed AI to do. I
Mm.
mean, it's just doing crap that
It's a little
they're
terrifying.
like, huh?
It's a little terrifying sometimes.
It's way terrifying, right? But at the same time, it's amazing,
I know. It's also
amazing
very,
and terrifying at the same time. And so I sit back, and one of the things I've really really studied for the last 4 years, before AI came out, was what the role of AI is going to be relative to humans. And the one thing that I keep coming back to that AI will never be able to replace is our humanity and our human connection. And when people ask me, what's the future? What's the future hold? That's it. If you're thinking about working and you're thinking about a job, think about your work in humanity and human connection. And it involves everything. Anywhere that involves a person-to-person connection, that's what you want to focus on. And what you've been talking about, Jen, is all about humanity. It's all about our humanity and understanding our humanity, our own humanity.
yeah.
Because let me throw this statement at you, and you could throw spaghetti on it or whatever you want to. Our humanity, regardless of the culture, is always going to be our humanity. Meaning, it's always going to be the place that we need to start.
And I mean, you can look at our world right now and see that it's the last thing that's important right now. I'm not going to go down
So
that hole, but you can.
yeah, no, I've coined this phrase recently that says we've gotten so smart we've forgotten our heart.
I love it.
Yeah,
I do.
and I've always felt, and I've been in technology since 1982. I mean, I'm old. Um, and it's been one of those things where um especially in the last 10 years, with the advent, especially with the advent of social media and mobile phones and just all that stuff. Um, I've felt that there is going to technology, AI is going to force a renaissance of the heart. It's going to bring people together. And learning from you and what you're teaching people and how you're coaching self-leadership. Oh my gosh. I mean, I mean, if you're not in the crosshairs of exactly what I think the world is going to need, I don't know. I, I can't think of anything else. It's amazing.
Well, it's beautiful to hear. I appreciate that.
I mean, given the framework, how I framed it, does that
Yeah.
make sense?
It really does. I recently heard an influencer on Instagram, and she was talking about the same concepts, right? AI coming out and how it's going to replace all these things and how it is scary, but also how it's beautiful because we're going to be moving away from an age. And this is her, I can't remember her name. I'm terrible. I feel sorry. I'm sorry I can't quote her. But she was basically speaking to we're going to be moving away from an age of intellect, right? Of intelligence, of needing to constantly use the brain and the head, and instead, we're moving into an age of embodiment. We're moving into an age where we've got to get back to our strongest sense of how to be who we're here on this planet to be, which is our body. Our most brilliant, intelligent equipment that exists is our body. Science is proving that over and over and over and over again. And like we're moving into an age, we're gonna have AI. Like it's not gonna matter how much you know anymore. No one's gonna care what you know anymore. It's gonna be, can you connect? Can you relate? Are you able
Yes.
to be in your own body? And I was like, oh hell yes, girl. Like bro.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's just a different way to say what I feel like I heard you say.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. I mean, everything was totally aligned,
Yeah.
and in a lot of ways that part of it is exciting for me,
Mhm.
right? And it's going to take folks like you and me to bring people out of their shells, out of their heads, and rediscover their heart and spirit, right? And their humanity, and 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 it's starting to happen. It's
Yeah.
starting to happen. I can feel it. It's just a different energy that's going on these days where a lot of people are there hasn't I don't think there's a there well, let me talk about me, not about you. For me, my experience has been that when I have these conversations like what we've been having just now about where the world is going and the renaissance of the heart, and we've gotten so smart we've forgotten our heart. I haven't had a single person, and I've talked to bunches of them. I haven't had a single person call bullshit on me.
Mhm.
Not a single person. Everybody has said to the contrary, you're right. Right. I mean, we do need to bring a little bit more love into the world. We do need to figure out how to reconnect with other people. And that's the whole reason for my podcast
Yeah.
is, is to create is creating a safe place where people can come where they can learn stuff where I and my guests don't want anything from them. We just want to share,
Yeah.
right? And my hope is that, well, forget hope. I know that there are folks out there who've gotten a lot out of this conversation. I sure as heck have,
Yeah. Yay. Well, I'm
right?
glad.
And I'm talking about this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Uh,
All right. So we talked about pause, pull back. Did we talk about the physical part of it?
that was really getting into like what is the actual experience, right? The physical
Okay.
is what is the physical experience I'm having,
Got it.
tightened throat, heart beating fast, hands, palms sweaty. That's the physical experience. Then what's the emotion? Can I nail down what the emotion is that I'm experiencing? And then what's the primary thought? What's the dominant thought that's trying to like take this moment over? Right? Because it could be like let's keep it simple. I'm no good. I'm bad, right? I messed up. Whatever it
Hmm.
might be. It's sometimes they're way more interesting than that, but
Yeah.
you can boil it down, right? And it's like once you can get present to the physical sensation, maybe you get a handle on what the emotion could be. Because again, you might just say angry. And honestly, there's so many different variations that that's a good start. And
Yeah.
then you find out that the thought is actually you got embarrassed. Like they just embarrassed me. And that made you angry, right? But then you get to start to navigate. Okay, well, how specifically, what part of me felt embarrassed about what? I'm a human who did blank. And like, is that really bad? And like, you get to start to kind of work yourself out of it. You get to relax and you get to breathe. And the fascinating part for me is learning, you'll love this if you don't already know this. An emotion neurochemically only exists for 90 seconds.
Wait, 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 wait.
I know, let that sink in. An emotion, once it
Like
kicks up,
anger,
yeah, it
or I'm
actually
pissed
only,
off.
yeah, it actually only exists for 90 seconds neurochemically. But because we're humans and we're meaning making machines and we love stories,
We stew on it.
we tie everything we've ever known about that event into every other event. And we use this like domino effect to connect them all. And then we create this like grooved story that just keeps that shit there for decades.
Oh man. 90 seconds.
I know it blew my brain too. I was
So
like,
let it go.
yeah.
Let it go. This is on a whole different level in terms of our topics that we're talking about, but I wanted to bring it up. Um, a good friend of mine once told me that forgiveness is a greater miracle than the parting of the Red Sea.
Mm,
And I mean, I just want to plant that as a seed, right? Because I have learned that I mean, forgiveness is amazing. When you can learn to forgive other people, and you don't have to go to them and say, I'm angry at you, I forgive you for what you did. You don't
mm,
have to do that. I mean, just sit down with yourself and say, you know what? Why am I getting myself all worked up over this? They're probably not even thinking about it anymore. I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to give that burden back to that person. I forgive them. You don't, that's all you have to do, right?
mm,
And the greater miracle, though, is what we've been talking about. And that is you have these feelings of anxiety, of things that we've done badly, and all the forgive yourself.
mm, mhm,
Forgive yourself. Try it. Try it. It might not make everything go away, but I have learned that it is a muscle. Forgiveness is a muscle that we have to practice, we have to continuously do. But I'll tell you, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And the lighter your heart becomes. And that physiological reaction to things will become very, very different.
yep.
Very, very different. And so yeah, but 90 seconds. Oh my gosh. So if you could, I wonder what would happen if you could say within those 90 seconds, I forgive you.
Yeah, you probably could, right? It's
I, you
it's
know,
all emotional navigate. Like this is that again, that those of you who are listening that are like, oh, I just want to like learn a little bit more. Like already free, Bruce Tift. I'm not even finished with the book yet, but he's really speaking beautifully about all of this. It's really learning how to be with the emotions that we've spent our whole life avoiding.
ooh.
Because we as children, like there was too much. Right? And so we develop all these ways of disassociating, pushing it away. I can't, my survival depends on not experiencing that. right? And it's like as adults, we're having to come back to ourselves and learn like your survival is not at risk. You can be with anger, you can be with hate, you can be with frustration and sadness and upset and hurt and grief. It's just not fun. That effing sucks, but you can be with it.
And
And the
it's
more you,
okay.
and it's okay. And the more you learn to be with it, the more adaptable and flexible and fluid you become with your humanity.
Ooh, okay. So, wow.
Let me
Wow.
just tie it all back together with what you're saying.
So don't deny it. Be
No,
with it.
be with it.
Let it be and let it be with you.
I used to say like get in it and like roll around it and like get it all over you and like
Oh, that's good. That's
and then
good.
find out what's really happening. Like, yeah,
Very cool. Wow. This has been amazing, Jen. This has
yeah.
been such a great conversation. And I know that folks listening are having their heads blown just like mine. Listen, um, there are folks out there who are going to want to learn more, who are going to want to reach out to you.
Mhm.
Where can people go?
I would say the best place to go is our website. That's motivation.academy, and that's motive with no E. So MOTIV action, ATION.
Okay, we see it in the upper
ATION.
right-hand corner
Yeah, thank goodness,
of
because I can't spell on the
so,
spot,
yeah.
apparently.
But for those who
But
aren't watching and listening, it's MOTIV, no E,
correct.
action,
Yes,
right?
.academy, not .com, not
Dot
.org,
Academy.
.academy.
Wonderful. And
Everything is
it's in our show notes.
great. And the ability to like schedule a call or email us or like all our socials, pretty much every way you could possibly find us is on our website. So that's just the easiest way.
Okay, wonderful. And folks, her name is Jen Hardy, Hardy. She's the one you're going to want to talk to. Um, oh my gosh, Jen, this has been wonderful. I love you. God bless you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing, being vulnerable, you know, and um, and wow, this has been way fun. Okay, folks. So remember, motive action, motive without the E, action.academy. And you're looking for Jen Hardy. And burnout comes in all different shapes, sizes, intensity, and it's all about, and I love the fact that it's all about coming back to you, coming back to yourself. And wow. So with that, folks, I love you. God bless you. Thank you for joining me. Please share this, and we will see you next time. Bye.